You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 71 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Callender and I'm a mortgage lender.
And I'm Andrew Yagi. I'm a real estate agent.
Hi, Andy. How's it going today?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
Swell. I'm swell.
I'm glad you're swell. The week is flying by. We got kind of a little tease of nice weather, and then I feel like it's kind of back to, more regular weather, a little bit more, kind of late winter into the spring. But with that, I feel like this, we've kind of entered into the season where real estate's picking up a little bit, but I would say it's more kind of it's been the week, Kayla, of shoppers.
The week of shoppers. Let me tell you, Andy, I feel you.
Have you experienced the same thing?
Yeah, I've experienced more people shopping, not interviewing lenders or realtors for that matter, for, education and program and options and, will it be a smooth process? And do you underwrite locally? And none of that, just what's your rate? And I've seen this online and it's, 5.875, but they're not taking the time to read the fine print or, like I said, interview the people you're going to work with, not just shop a rate. So it's been really rate heavy shoppers. Yep. Sure.
That's very, very interesting. Yeah. I've experienced kind of the same thing in a slightly different sense. And you obviously have been around this a long time. You're with First International Bank and Trust. You've got this big brand identity too, both your personal brand and also the bank. But, here I am kind of, the independent broker here, but, have made kind of a splash, especially with our marketing, with all of the video we do, just as you do as well. So I've had, some individuals shopping me, just not having good experience, with their agents. They've maybe hired somebody else. I was in Mexico on vacation, recently, about a week or so ago, and I had someone call me on vacation. They fired their agent. They had an awful experience because their agent was not just not providing good service. Almost seems like they were working for the other party. We were set to meet, and then they kind of went a different direction without even sitting down to meet, which is always interesting because I always tell people it never hurts to talk, Kayla. Even if I'm not the right fit for you, like, let's sit down and have a conversation face to face. Someone just a couple of days ago, a family member, not a party to the transaction, but having an awful time with their agent, once again. And I just sense that, again, people are not doing enough research or not enough research for the right reason on the front end. They're getting themselves into tough situations, or again, they're going just based on relationship or someone recommending, my brother Joe's son just got into real estate, so I'm going to go and have little Johnny list my house, and little Johnny has no experience, and people are having very bad experiences. So it's kind of frustrating for individuals.
Oh yeah. And that's just it too, is like, I was talking to a realtor yesterday and I said, I'm seeing a few realtors that they just don't have as many reps in because it's been slower and they're not doing it full time, which that's fine. That's okay. But when you don't have enough reps in, it's just like when you're at the free throw line and you haven't shot that free throw in a while and you're up against someone that's, crushing out 1,000 a week, you're not going to be shooting as well. And I'm just noticing like less reps for anyone is going to result in maybe not knowing the answers. And so when you're just going with that, person that does one transaction a year, you can't blame them for not, having, being up to date with the market or knowing how to negotiate in this market today. Because Andy, as you know, every market's different. Every season's different. I mean, what we've gone through, it's never the same. So it's just, you're seeing, and so it's important that you have representation on the best team to get you through, especially if there's a lot of competition.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I will say, amidst all of the shoppers and, the people having frustrating experiences, we also have had, a number of clients just, come to us strictly based on attraction, based on like, hey, we see you everywhere on social media. We see your listings. We see your marketing. It's awesome. We want that. We want our
Mhm.
house showcase like that. So there are a lot of people out there that are wise that, do actually, go out and shop, based on value and actually what they're getting. And Kayla, I think that
Mhm.
that you've had some successes as well lately, haven't you? Didn't you have either maybe an award or maybe just had a really, really awesome best per month or something like that?
Well, now that you mention it, I don't think we talked about it. Well, twofold, I guess, but I am the recipient of the Impact Award through the Mortgage Bankers Association. So that is
Ooh,
something that's happened. So that's just essentially recognizing individuals under a certain age for, being trailblazers and impacting the industry. And for me, it's educating and empowering. Again, I'd rather work with someone that wants to be educated and empowered than just told, what's your rate. And so I take a lot of time and a lot of energy to ensure that people get educated, because once they do, it's the best experience. And so just to kind of circle back, that's, the reason for receiving that Impact Award. And then we are looking at a potential now. We know that things can move, people can, close early, move the date out, potential career high volume for April, which is wild
wow,
for April. And
spectacular.
yeah, and I was talking to a friend today, and she's like, "Do you think that's because there's a lot of people that have gotten out of the business, or the cream always rises, so you're getting more? Do you feel like it's competition? Do you feel like people are coming to terms with rates?" And I think it's a culmination of things, but I really contribute it to I'm getting so many more referrals of go see Kayla. She's going to teach you and educate you. It's not about just a rate or just fees. Yes, we have competitive rates and fees. Yes, all those things. But it's where are you standing out as a realtor or a lender? And I feel like that's what our team has done is we've stood out by really pouring into our clients and telling them everything that they never knew. So that's exciting.
Wow. That is really awesome. Well, I'm proud of you, Kayla. I'm happy for you
Thank
and
you.
and for your team. And yeah, like you say, the cream does rise, and we're finding that as well. In our marketplace as we're serving more clients and having more experiences. And I feel like the spring is almost or this year so far has been either feast or famine for both lenders and agents. As I talked to quite
Yeah.
a number of them, and we've done really about 3 times the business we did the same time last year. And,
Wow.
depending on the news source you look at, there are a lot of individuals that are saying, this year could be, more challenging than last year, based on all of the uncertainty, with
Hmm.
tariffs and economic headwinds and whatever
Yeah.
else. But again, there are still people that have real estate goals that want
Hmm.
to get, to
Hmm.
their, intended destination. So
Hmm.
someone's got to serve them.
Well,
And it
right.
may as
And I
well
agree.
it may as well be you, or it may as well be me, Kayla.
Right? I agree with that. Well, I was going to tell you, I love that we just kind of come on here and we'd like kind of spitball what's going on. I love it because yesterday I had a client ask me, Andy, he goes, "Is it irresponsible for me to be buying a house?" And I thought about it and I took a breath and I looked at his situation. I looked at what he's paying for rent. I looked at his debt to income. I looked at just everything. And I go, I think it's irresponsible for you not to buy a house. I said, look at what you're paying for rent. Look at the advantages to owning. Look at what, you told me all these goals that you have for your family, what you want for your oasis, you have a home office, your dog has a backyard. And then look at all these opportunities that you have, whether it be, writing off the interest, creating your own equity. Like, let's look at the difference here. And he just kind of said, wow, I never really thought about it like that. And that's what we are missing in our industry. And that's what the clients don't understand is they just see kind of like what the media says is rates are high, don't buy. And it's like, I think it's irresponsible for you not to. So I had to share that little tidbit because it's amazing when you just really kind of step back and look at it from a high level overview of just the whole picture for a client.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And again, like you say, that's why it's so important to get to know the client,
Yeah.
and get to know what are their goals and what are their needs. Because yeah, for if there was a different scenario for that same individual, maybe it wouldn't be a
Right.
great time. And that's probably the biggest frustration I have, with buyers. And we're very heavy, working with sellers, kind of taking a marketing first approach. But I had someone in my database reach out the other day and say, hey, we're going to be in town this weekend. We want to look at this house. And they send me an email of about 8 homes that are for sale. And it's like, okay, well, number one, which one? And number two, there are a couple of things we need to do. First of all, we need to know that you're pre-approved. If you haven't connected with a lender, we are going to connect you with somebody like Kayla, for instance. Number two, we need to have either a sit-down meeting or we need to meet virtually. I need to get to know you. I need to know what you're looking for, because I don't know if this house even fits you. Based on what you're looking for, based on the condition of the house and the type of loan or program you're using. And number three, we need to have a buyer's representation agreement in place, especially with recent changes in the real estate industry. We need to have all of this done. So when would be a good time to connect? Followed by crickets. I haven't heard anything back. And so at the end of the day, you talk about shoppers. Well, we're not tour guides. We can only help people who are really, really committed, especially as agents. I know it's a little bit more challenging for you because you never know. I mean, eventually someone's probably going to buy something, but it's kind of interesting.
It is. And I think too, like, I love that you say that, Andy. And I think people are getting used to that, is you need to be pre-approved as well, because I have a client right now that found a house, and long story short, we dive into our files. We don't just take their word for it. And we got verifications of employment back, which the employer breaks down the dates, everything about it. We're not just looking at what the date is they put on the application. We're getting this from the employer. Here we found out his dates were wrong, and I don't know if we can approve him. And here he's wanting to make an offer on this house. And it's like, when you put the cart before the horse, like now he's, backpedaling and trying to figure out a way. And it's like, it's just so important that we take the time up front. And that's exactly what you're doing for this client.
Absolutely. Well, Kayla, I want to shift gears a little bit. This is all great conversation, but is there anything fun that's been going on in the Calendar household lately?
Do you ask that like knowing there is, or do you ask that? Okay.
I'm just asking. Normally we chat a little bit about what's going on personally and anything fun or whatever, but I haven't talked to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. So nothing crazy. Went to the lake this weekend. We are working on more lake projects. But that's about it. Our dogs are loving the snow. They went out and played last week. We got hit with
I think I saw that. It looks like
we got so much snow in Perham, Andy. Like, it was insane. The dogs loved it. That
tennis ball has seen better days. I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They just
time to be retired.
Oh, we have probably 1,000 balls, and because they just they love them. But it's just very nice to get out of town, and it's so quiet out there. And there's just not a lot of people at the lake, but it's wonderful to do that. So we did that this weekend. Nothing new. I am headed to Denver in a couple weeks to see Kelsey Ballerini. So that is exciting to see. My sister Brittany, my sister Lisa's going, my nieces. So aside from that, we're just trying to get through spring. It's just been a busy for Taryn, busy for me, and we're really, really looking forward to summer. And you know why? Because the lake.
Because the lake.
Okay, I want to go back to you, though, because I know we talked about this in the beginning, but Mexico, how was it?
Yeah, it was good. We got away. It would have been like 2 weeks ago. We just took a quick Wednesday to Sunday trip. Took our girls down there, along with my sister-in-law. Kind of came with to help, and we had a really great time. It was good. Not always the most relaxing when you've got a 2, 5, and 7-year-old. But I'm really glad they came with, and it was almost perfect, minus when we were leaving Minneapolis. It would have been on Wednesday the 5th, and Minneapolis got just decimated by a blizzard, and we almost did not get out of there. We were sitting on the plane, and the tug was trying to push the plane back from the gate, and it was spinning out. So it was a super challenging start to the trip. But even Ivy, who's 2, even though we sat on the plane an extra 2.5 hours. Did really awesome. And it's just nice to escape. But I too am looking forward to summer weather and getting out to the lake, which it's going to be here before you know it, Kayla.
I know. When we think about it, it's not that far away. And if we see an early, summer, I know we got hit last week a little bit, but I mean, you can feel it, even like just the energy. And like, I was stepping outside, last week, it was like 60 degrees, and just like taking in the air of like a 50, 60 degree day, does wonders for your soul. So I'm glad you got to Mexico to get some sun, because that's also good for the soul.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Kayla, I feel that since we haven't talked for a couple of weeks, there's probably been a little activity in the mortgage rate department. And I, like you, I have people asking me all the time, what are rates doing?
Yeah. And so we've had tons of clients get into contract recently. And, in those discussions, it's, what are rates doing? What are we seeing? So if people are watching along today, 30-year fixed is roughly about 6.78. Again, I will tell you, this doesn't mean that is the rate for you. There are about 30 things that impact your rate, from loan amount to credit score, like multiple things. So when clients, just this morning, clients said, hey, Kayla, I saw that the rate that you sent us was 675. I saw online someone had 6625. Well, we have to remember that you can absolutely get a lower rate. I saw someone just yesterday, we were talking about locking them in at 6.125 because of their scenario and them wanting to pay points. So I always share that information, especially if someone's just hopping on for the first time. So 30 years around 678. It's bebopped between that 685. We have not seen huge shifts, huge changes, but there could be some news this week where, kind of waiting. There's another Fed meeting, so that will be telling. And then just with like North Dakota housing, we're seeing 595 on many clients that are first-time home buyers, so that's an attractive rate. And then we have a rate relief option right now. Now it's really dependent on income, household income. So it's not available to everyone. But that rate is roughly about 5.7 and super competitive. So, people that say rates are in this high 6s and 7s, there's still opportunities to buy down the rate and to, if you're a first time buyer or qualify for those other programs, to get rates in the 5s. So I think people are kind of coming to terms with that. When I think of the 60 calls I've had in the last month with new clients, one has said rates are too high. The others are just like, okay, that's normal, because it's been about 2 years of this. So not a bad thing.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see, where the chips fall when everything's all said and done this year, just statistic-wise. I was just looking, Kayla, the Minnesota realtors, they put out monthly housing numbers, and they just kind of put out their February numbers. They're always, kind of obviously a few weeks behind or almost 3 weeks behind into the next month as they tabulate everything. But, it just talked a little bit about, there are more homes for sale. Inventory's up about 1%. The sales price is up about 5%. So homes still continue to appreciate. Days on market's up about 11%. Closed sales are down, and there's a little bit more month supply overall. But, kind of the headline here, buyers and sellers pull back in the face of higher rates and uncertainty. So in Minnesota as a whole saw 5 months of growth. Seller activity did slow. New listings fell about 7%. Homeowners, again, still choosing to stay put. So I think some of that's going to break loose a little bit, Kayla, especially as we, keep, plowing into 2025. There are people that are going to be sitting there, and I have the conversation every day with people. Boy, even someone just the other day, boy, I really want to go and move, but boy, that low rate, I just can't take it.
I think that's very common. I think that's super common. I think that the people that are best positioned to sell their home and their 2, 3, 4% rate are the people that have accumulated debt with rates above that, meaning auto loans, meaning credit cards, whatever it is, with a percentage higher. Because until a lender sits down and actually examines their scenario and says, wow, like you could really pay off this, and this, and you could really get rid of all this other debt. I think it's so important that have someone review that, because I've had so many people, Andy, that they've actually, I think we've talked about this before, but they have freed up, so much debt, even going to a higher rate from like 3 to 6, 3 to 7, because they took that equity out of that house that they had and paid off all their higher debt. So the people that don't have a lot of debt and are at that 3%, they're probably going to be stuck there a bit. Now, the people that are at roughly, that 3%, but they've got tons of debt, it could make sense to buy. So we'll see what happens, but we see all sorts of scenarios.
Right on. Yeah, that's intriguing, and that makes me think I am going to revisit one of the recent individuals that I've been visiting with, and actually probably suggest. And I think this individual maybe did talk to you once before, but maybe recommend a follow up. I don't know what their situation looks like, debt or otherwise, but that's something that is a really, really great point that even I forget about sometimes, Caleb, because again, just kind of shifting things around a little bit can make a big difference. And especially if it's helping someone get to their real estate goals and also maybe, taking some pressure off with debt. I think that's really wise.
Right. And really, I mean, where are you at most of your time? I mean, you and I at work, but a lot of people, that home is so special to them and they want to get out of an apartment and they want to, maybe they don't like their neighbors or their location, or they feel unsafe in their neighborhood, whatever it is. It's also about in here. And sometimes people are saying, I'll pay $200 more a month to have the peace of mind of everything else.
Did my wife pay you to put that plug in? Knowing that
no, she didn't, but
she wants to build a house, and I look at expenses and everything and think, ooh. We just got done with our spec house build, and in the end we made money, which I'm grateful for. We didn't make a ton of money, but I'm trying to live. Have you ever read the book The Gap and the Gain, Kayla?
No, but it's like number one to read because I've done a lot of Blinkist or like Spark Notes on it.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, can you tell our audience what The Gap and the Gain is about? Because I think I live in the gap a lot.
Yeah, no, I think we all do. I know I do. So even like, I'll use this house as an example. So, we had huge goals of like, hey, I want X dollars of profit and whatever, and we didn't quite hit that. So it's easy to live in the gap thinking, I didn't hit my goal. I didn't reach it. So therefore I was a failure, versus living in the gain. The gain mindset would be, wow, we put a house up in just a little bit over 4 months, when most builders take at least 6 months to build something like this, having no experience. We put a brand new single family home into our community. We had somebody move in who's very excited, who's new to the community. So we're growing the population, we're growing the tax base. Yeah. And we learned a tremendous amount. So even like when I go and build a house here at some point, we learned a lot that's going to help us in the process and help save us money. So that would be living in the gain. And so I'm trying to live in the gain, a little bit more.
I love that. Yeah, focus on the good, the positive. And it's like, it's so easy to see where you're going. It's like, or to focus on, I don't want to say the negative, but the negative versus look how far you've come. So I'm going to put that on my, I'm going to go read that book, and you're going to hold me accountable. Okay.
I'm going to hold you accountable, Kayla. So, well, I think that wraps up episode 71. I know you've got a busy day, so do I, but I think we've had a really, really great conversation. And Kayla, I hope you have a great rest of the week.
I will if you will.
See ya.
Bye.